Well, welcome back, everyone, and I'm pleased to be joined this evening in studio by head coach Tom Healy and senior captain Carl Schlitzbaum of the Norwood boys soccer team. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Thanks for coming in. We love to do Sports Extra, but all this kind of just this weird, even being separated as much as we are with masks and all that. So I appreciate you both coming in tonight. Coach, I want to kind of start with you. What a year in terms of all that's going on. But from a coaching standpoint, you had to be excited that at least you had a season this year.
Yeah, I was very excited when Mr. Longley gave us the call and said that there's going to be a boys soccer season this year. I was ecstatic, and to call up Carl or email Carl and the rest of the seniors and say, guys, you're going to get your chance to show what you can do. It's going to be a lot different, but at least you're getting an opportunity to get onto the field and get one last hurrah under your belts before you graduate. So It was exciting.
You mentioned that obviously there were a number of different rule changes that happened this year, and we were fortunate to cover a lot of your home games anyway. And we noted things. Obviously, there was no headers this year. There was no corner kicks. There were no throw-ins. From a coaching standpoint, once you start to get the new rules, how does that affect the way you maybe approach a season?
A lot of the rule changes that came into play do affect a team like us, where we're kind of a hard-nosed, a little bit more on the physical side of play that we normally would play, and then you come to find out that you got to tone all of that down. You're almost more into what we used to kind of refer to of a basketball style defense, where you don't have hands-on guys. You got to do more of a shielding type of thing and defend that way. So that took us a little bit of time, I'd like to say, in trying to figure out exactly how that's going to be played. But soccer in general, whether it's a COVID season or not, it's very difficult for officials to make a call or decide what they're going to call, and everybody calls something a little bit different. And that kind of, once that flow kind of came back, I think our boys adapted pretty nicely, and we were able to kind of move flawlessly throughout the practices and that kind of stuff. But trying to run set pieces off corners like you normally would like to do, those things change drastically. I think the rules that they put into place where you had to be automatically 10 yards away from there, but you could have a player inside 3 feet, it opened up a lot of avenues for us to be able to maneuver and come up with some different types of plays and set pieces as well too. But you can't do that flying ball into the box and hope for a header to get on it, because now there's no more headers. So you did have to get a little creative in that design work, and as much as the boys wanted to just kind of fly one in there, looking at our team, we have a guy like Kyle that's as big as he is, but we also have a bunch of smaller guys. So even if we did have our normal flying of the ball into the box, it's still going to be tough for us to win a head ball against other teams. So I was kind of prepared already for that mentality. But you bring in some of the other things like the indirect kicks. There's always been a rule that you have to stay 10 yards away from the ball on indirect kicks. And I think what was nice about this is that you can really start to utilize that small spacing that you have and open up a bigger game plan for yourself. And that's something that I'm going to look forward to, when we're all through all of this, and we can still utilize some of those little plays.
Well, that was one of the things that I found interesting was, almost from game one to the end of the season, to watch how, not only from a coaching standpoint, but Carl, from your standpoint in terms of the players, how they adapted, got used to the new rules and kind of got used to them and progressed through the course of the season was exciting to watch. Coach, just real quick, you're losing 9 seniors from the team, including 3 of your 3 captains and Carl here, and a big chunk of these guys, and Carl, we'll get to you in just a second, are on that back line, that defensive back line. Going forward, you don't replace a player of Carl's caliber, but what are you looking for, from the guys that you have now on the team and from the JV guys and the guys coming up for next year?
You know, I'm sad to be losing my 9 seniors that I'm losing, because they've been idle for this program for so many years, and especially this year, especially for the record that we put up. You know, a fantastic record. Their hard work and their fight and their battle, but you know, I feel like even though we're losing 9 seniors, I still have 11 other guys that have been with us through this whole fight. And even though they didn't get that experience on that back line in games, they're willing to move themselves and adapt themselves, and they know what it's going to take to replace a guy like Carl. They're going to know what it's going to take to replace other seniors that we have on the field as well too. So even though we're losing a chunk of that back line, you know, last year going into this year, we lost a good chunk that we lost on that back line as well too. But you know, we were able to guys they came in, they stepped up, and they do that battle, and that's really where I start to look at, okay, we need to have our back guys in the back there, whether that's going to be 3 guys, 4 guys, or 5 guys, depending on our caliber of play and the style of play that we're going to attack with next year. But you know, we got to have those guys set and ready to roll and work with them, and then we concentrate on the offensive side of things. So.
Well, it sounds like we're in good shape, and one of the reasons that the program is in such good shape is because of players like Carl. You know, congratulations on first of all your career, and I asked you when you were coming in the studio how you're feeling, because I remember you missed. Did you miss the last 2 games?
Last 3 games.
The last 3 games of your senior season due to injury, but. Kind of as I mentioned with Coach, when you got that call, that text from Coach that the season was a go, what was your first reaction?
I mean, I was really excited, because looking at everything that was going on, I wasn't too sure. Yeah. And I'm happy we were able to get a season in, even if there was some rule changes.
Yeah, we talked a bit about the rule changes, and Coach mentioned them, from a coaching standpoint, the way he kind of visualizes what he has to work with you guys. You're the one, as a player, who've got to kind of then work with the rule. How did you find, I guess I'm going to start with, with respect to the rules themselves and the changes, how did you find that affected your game?
So definitely being a tall player and heading is out of the equation now. You definitely got to adapt. And I also like to be more physical, like Coach was saying earlier. So you have to try and figure out a way to stop the attacker without putting a body on him. So I think the referees also did a good job of calling it both ways, so the attacker couldn't get away with too much. But
I'm saying, I was actually going to kind of mention something like that. I mean, obviously, from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint, we've got these new rules that need to be implemented. But we've got referees who are used to calling a game a certain way. Now, all of a sudden, have got to, kind of change and keep an eye on things that they might not normally otherwise have. And I thought, to your point, in the games that we covered, they looked like they were, again, everyone's kind of learning as this goes along. But I thought the referees, for the most part, did a fairly good job of, keeping it, as they say, fair and balanced on both sides in this new stuff. Carl, though, you talked about headers. Was there anything that, with respect to the new rules, maybe the way the game was played this fall, that you kind of liked, that you said, oh, this opens stuff up, or was there anything about it that you enjoyed in terms of the new rules?
So on the kick-ins, I wasn't too much of a fan at first, but once the player could just pass it in and then you could play it into the box. Yeah. I mean, you can kick it a lot farther than you can throw a ball in, so it definitely helped get more chances in the box.
Yeah, that was one thing that I think in calling a couple of games with Mr. Bodenhofer, we were noticing that as the season progressed, that kind of became almost like a set piece where you could put that ball right along the ground, and then, Coach, you could have, someone like Carl's got a solid leg, be able to just launch that to a particular area. So I thought that kind of became a weapon almost during the course of the year. Carl, Coach was mentioning, I thought, and I'm sure you do as well, a fantastic, solid year this year at 3-3-4. Shortened season, less games. 2 of those losses are to that Medfield squad that we know, or we were just talking, are just, one of the powerhouses in the state. Looking back on your season now, overall, what are some of your thoughts on how you played and then the team as a whole came together?
I really had fun playing this season, and it was great to play with my teammates and my fellow seniors. And I think we played really well defensively, and we created a bunch of attacking opportunities, but that's something we need to work on. But in the last couple games, the seniors came out and the rest of the younger or underclassmen were playing, and I thought they did a great job moving the ball around, so it's going to be a bright future.
You know, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think, you know, we kind of noted that towards the tail end of the Medfield game. You know, some seniors were taken out, and so we got a chance to see that some of those next generation, as it were, for next year's. And Carl, I think you're right, and Coach, I think you'll probably agree. There's still a bit of talent there that you've got some great stuff to build on, you know, for next year. I just want to touch too, Carl, at least for you and Coach, I'll get your thoughts on it as well. The Morales Cup is such a special event that we have with Dedham. Great this year that we were able to win the cup back. What's it like to kind of play for that cup and for that game?
So it's definitely a surreal experience. It's definitely more than just any other game, and the competition between Dedham, it was just awesome. Being able to play for a cup like that in honor of Fernando, it's just an honor.
Yeah, it's a special moment, Coach. You know, your thoughts on coaching these guys and then winning it this year. You know, on the aggregate, it was a little different than last year. We had the home and home.
Yeah.
But what's it like to coach in that cup game?
You know, last year losing the cup to Dedham in its first season was a tough pill to swallow. I thought the boys worked extremely hard last year, and unfortunately, you know, we didn't get that opportunity to bring it home. But you know, going into this year where there was no playoffs, there was no state tournament, this was our playoff game. This was our state tournament game. That's how I kind of looked at it a little bit for these guys. And it gave them, I think, a little bit something more to play for. And it was exciting, you know, and to be a part of that over 2 games made it even that much more special, I think, you know, to me anyway, and I think to the players. You know, yeah, we got a victory on Saturday, which ultimately was the winning victory for us, because, but then we were in Dedham, we went down 2-0, and I think, you know, we're sitting there saying, okay, this is going to be a dogfight, and you know, the boys picked themselves up and really brushed themselves off like you do in a playoff game, and crawled back in, and we were able to get a tie. And I don't think Dedham was expecting us to do that. I think they were expecting us to lay down. And, you know, that this whole season long, that's what I was so happy about with these guys, is they really never gave up. I mean, even the first Medfield game that we lost, and you know, it was the first time we had been shut out. It's in a loss, and then to come out the next day and really take it back to Medfield. I think Medfield really was on their heels a little bit on Sunday for a while, until they realized that you know, this team wants us. You know, and that's what I'm excited about with the unfortunately losing 9 seniors, but you know, that mentality, that persona that they pushed down to the underclassmen is fantastic. And I can't wait to get back out there with these guys again.
It is exciting. It is exciting. And Carl, you know, again, just to congratulate you again on a fantastic career, you know, throughout your time here up at the high school. And it's players like yourselves, Carl, that, you know, kind of build for the future of the, you know, the next guys that are coming in, and they will build, and, you know, the program just continues to grow. So it's a credit to both of you, to all of your seniors and your coaching staff. I know Adam Gold stepped up this year, which was great to see people giving back to the program and whatnot. So I want to congratulate both of you guys and the entire team for a fantastic fall season. Carl, best of luck next year as you head on your way. Coach, best of luck next year. I'm sure we'll be covering more games, and we'll have you back in here with more updates on everything.
Fantastic.
So thank you both for coming in tonight. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. We will be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.